Hello grade 8s. We are doing chapter 12 decimal fractions, and in this video we will be looking at multiplication. So the first thing that happens here is we need to discuss the powers of 10. We have discussed this before, where you know that a power of 10 is something like 10, 100, 1000, 10,000 or 100,000. And the first thing we're going to be doing is multiplying decimals by the power of 10. Now, what makes this very simple is that all we have to do is count the amount of zeros in the power of 10, and that tells us how many places to move the comma to the right. When we move the comma to the right, it means that the number gets one place value bigger because we are multiplying. So when we look at the examples, we will see that at A, we are multiplying by the power of 10. So what happens is we put our finger down on the decimal and we will take one jump to the right. So we take one jump to the right and there we put our new comma. That means that the answer to 6,25 times 10 is 62,5. Okay, now in the next one we are multiplying by 100,000. We count the amount of zeros and we can see that there are 5. So because of that, we are going to move the comma 5 places to the right. We put our finger down on the comma and we take 5 jumps. 1, 2, 3. Do you see we've run out of numbers, but you know what happens now? We still continue. 4, 5, and we put the decimal there. And now we fill up the spaces with zeros. That means that the answer to 2,708 times 100,000 is 270,800. All right, now in the next one, we are looking at the fact that we have got signs. So we do this like normal. A negative times a positive is a negative. So we know that our answer is going to be negative. 2 zeros in our number, which means we will move 2 spaces to the right. We jump 1 and 2, put our new comma down. That means that our answer is negative 304,6. In example D, we have 2 negatives, 2. Which means a negative times a negative is a positive. That means we know our answer is going to be positive. We put our comma down, or we put our finger down on the comma, and we are moving 1, 2, 3 spaces to the right. So 1, 2, 3, and you put in your new comma. So this answer is 198,4. So the amount of zeros in the power of 10 tells you how many places to move the comma. Again, please watch your signs. Now we're going to be looking at multiplying decimals by decimals. So you will see here in the list there are a bunch of steps that we need to follow. Step 1 is like normal. When we are multiplying 2 numbers, we always check our signs. Once we've multiplied our signs, then we know what the sign of the final answer will be. Now here is where things get tricky. The first thing you're going to do is count the amount of decimals that you see behind all of the numbers, and you're going to add them together. I'm going to use the first example to show you why, or how it's working. We've got 1 decimal place here and 1 decimal place here, meaning that we have a total of 2. Okay, we've checked our signs. It's going to be a positive times a positive. Which is going to give us a positive answer. Now, the easy part is you get to take the decimals away and just multiply the numbers you see. So this is 6 times 3. And this we can do in our heads, so we're not even going to worry about it. And this is equal to 18. But now, the next step is that we have to put the comma back. And where do we put the comma back? So, we are first going to write the number and the amount of decimal places you took out in total is the amount that you are going to put back. So we put our comma at the back and we are going to take 2 jumps to the left. 1, 2. We're going to put our comma in. And we know that we can't leave the space open, so here we will have a 0. So the answer to 0,6 times 0,3 is 0,18. All right, let's try it with the next one. Here we have negative 1,2 times 0,5. So the first thing we do is we count the amount of decimal places. There's 1 and another 1, which means we have 2 decimal places. And that is what we are going to remember when we put the comma back into our answer. We look at our signs and we can see a negative times a positive. The answer will be negative. All right. So I'm already going to put the negative in because we know that the negative is going to be the answer. Now we take the commas out and we multiply like normal. So here we've got 12 times 5, which we know is equal to 60. All right, final step is to put the comma back. So we put a 6 and a 0. We took out 2 places in total. So we put 2 places back. Start at the back, jump, jump, put our comma in, and you know a 0 comes in the front. But you need to be smart now because you remember about this guy right here. We don't write it when we write the answer. So the answer here is negative 0,6. Our last example, which is example C, is the most important type of example because this is how we would expect you to complete a normal multiplying one decimal by another. Step 1, we count how many decimal places we have in total. We have 1, 2, 3 places in total. And remember, we're going to take that out, work it out, and then put them back at the end. The next is we're going to look at our signs. We have a positive times a negative, which is going to give us a negative answer. So we already know that our answer is going to be negative. So when we do our calculations, we don't have to worry about our signs. So now I've got 134, because I take the decimal out, times by 25. And we are going to do a normal column method multiplication sum. So it's 134 multiplied by 25. All right, and we start with our multiplication. 5 times 4 is 20. We put the 0 down and we carry the 2. 5 times 3 is 15, 16, 17. So we write down the 7 and we carry a 1. Then we've got 1 times 5 and we add 1, which gives us 6. Okay, now we're multiplying by 2. It is in the second space, so you know we put a 0 in. And then it's 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 3 is 6. And 2 times 1 is 2. The next step in multiplication is that we are going to add, so we plus. 0 plus 0 is 0. 7 plus 8 is 15. We write down the 5, carry a 1. 1 plus 6 is 7, plus 6 is 13. Write down the 3, carry a 1. And 1 plus 2 is 3. Now, as it's standing here, we are not finished. We still have to put the 3 decimal places back. So because there were 3, we start at the back and we take 3 jumps forward. 1, 2, 3, and that's where we put our comma. Then please remember, we don't write the 0 at the back because it is at the back of a decimal. We already have our negative worked out, so it is negative 3, 3, 5. All right, so that is multiplication of decimal numbers. And here we have chapter 12, exercise 3. You are going to complete those questions for me.